So Colin doesn't really speak at conferences, but he works with brands, and he tries to get the best out of brands, but he does it in his own style. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand straight over to Colin.
Hello. Yes, I am Colin Furze. I own the Colin Furze YouTube channel, currently on 1.5 million subscribers, so I'm not doing too bad. If I could just give you a brief background, because I know we're struggling for time. I started in 2006 on YouTube, so that was like pretty much when it started. I think it started in February of that year. I've always made videos. I used to ride BMXs. We used to make BMX videos, and somebody had said, you know, you should upload some stuff on YouTube. So I did, and it kind of took off from there. But it was one of my first projects. Now, if I just get the old, of course, I've got to look at this. Oh, this is how good I am at conferences. Was this homemade wall of death. Now, basically what this is a massive cylinder which we made out of pallets, and if you ride a motorbike fast enough round the outside of it, you'll stick to the edge. And we filmed this. I made 3 videos. There was a video of me building it, video of me crashing on it, and then a video of me actually successfully riding it, which come a few months after the crashing one. And YouTube at that time was slightly different in that the homepage that everybody went on was the same. So if you all logged into YouTube, you would all see the same homepage. And YouTube decided to put my successful riding one on their homepage, and it just got like loads of attention. Back then, like 2007, it got like 200,000 views in a week, which was just insane. Normally, you'd be getting 500 views after a couple of months. So this was like, wow. And it was kind of a bit of a drug, really. It was like all this attention, all this stuff. Local magazines picked up on it. A couple of other like motorbike tabloids saw it. And from there on, I could kind of see like a bit of a longer game. That it was, you know, although this is all fun and games making these things, this is actually a lot more interesting. You know, this audience which is there, which I didn't normally have. So I started to put a lot more effort into the videos. I started to film them a lot differently, and kind of put myself in this. I'm looking at the computer again. And as it progressed, obviously we're on 1.5 million subscribers now, nearly 10 years later, so it's took me a while. But the things that I'm making now are a lot more kind of like fun. We've got mobility scooters here which do like 60 miles an hour. I broke my leg. I'm not that claustrophobic, haphazard or whatever. And while I broke my leg, I was struggling. So I put a little grabber on the end and made these gadget crutches. Like Dominic, this is a fantastic idea. So, but also, everything has remained the same since the Wall of Death, that, you know, no matter what I'm doing, there's kind of a building element to it, and it was always fun, and people could see it and think, oh, that's pretty cool. Because, you know, anyone could go and build a pallet Wall of Death if they wanted to. It was not something which was out of their reach. So, time goes on, YouTube gets bigger, my videos get better, all the editing stuff, and then the sponsored content. Now, I didn't used to get a lot of sponsored content until I did these X-Men videos. Now, a few years back, there was a film come out, the X-Men Days of Future Past. I was a bit of an X-Men fan, and I was really excited about that. And I was kind of like, what can I do, you know, to kind of bring this alive? Because, you know, we'd all love superpowers. Anyone that goes and watches a film like Superman, Batman, or anything, I mean, especially the blokes, they'll look at Batman's utility belt and think, oh, I could do one of them. That'd be pretty smart. So I started looking at these X-Men powers, and a few people online had tried to make like Wolverine's claws, but to be fair, they were pretty weak efforts. I mean, there was a guy that made some out of cardboard, which for cardboard and sellotape, he'd made a pretty good job. But I thought, no, you know, I want something a bit better than that. So I took on 3 characters, and I made Wolverine's retractable claws. So I had these stainless steel claws, which would fire down my arm and retract again, and at the flick of switches. And for Magneto, the guy that can controls metal, I made these magnetic shoes. Now, these are brilliant because these allowed me to walk upside down across my shed ceiling on a metal track. And I still look back at that and think that was one of the greatest achievements in my life, because there was a lot of falling off the ceiling before I learned to do it. Because believe it or not, walking upside down is very difficult and something you have to kind of learn. So once I'd actually successfully done it, the eureka moment you see in the video is genuine elation. So I managed to do that, and only NASA had bothered to even look into something like this to try and keep the astronauts on the space station glued to the bottom of the space station. So that was good. I thought, yep, I've kind of beat NASA on this because I can do it on Earth. And then there's the guy in the film who can shoot fire, and I've developed this thing so I could shoot like a 10-foot flame from my wrist. And these videos went mental. My average views per month or something at the time was about 1.5 million, and I had 14, nearly 15 million views that month. And it just went nuts. Every single digital media outlet had picked it up. There was things in the tabloids, because I'd got quite adept at getting things in newspapers. So before I released any videos, I'd have my photographer mate who'd come and take pictures of it, and at the appropriate times I could kind of like send out a little press release. So I got quite good at playing the media. I thought, I'm doing well at this. And so after that, of course, people like yourselves thought, hello, he's just given Fox the best online advert they could have ever asked for, like 14 million views for free. And I was like, I should send them an invoice, really. And so anyway, I've got, these sponsored people coming to me. The computer games companies love it. I get to make things out of the computer game. This is a wrist-mounted rope launcher from the new Assassin's Creed Syndicate game. And these work really well because obviously, people playing computer games like watching films. There's all sorts of crazy gadgets in there that people want to try and, make into real life. So that's what I do. I do my best to try and turn those things into real life. But also I've used like people's products. I've sent HTC phones into space, tried to set fireworks off in the stratosphere. Uniqlo, the Japanese clothing company, wanted me to do something in a cold environment, so I made a bike which had wheels of ice. I would have brought it today, but we'd just have 2 puddles of water sitting around here. And I rode it across a glacier. And these videos have all done really well. So I'd like to think I'm quite good at doing sponsored branded videos. Now, if I just give you a bit of an idea of how I do them, the latest complete one, which I've done, was for Tailors of Harrogate, who make Yorkshire tea. Oh dear. In this technological world, we seem to have a failure. Anyway, I'll just explain briefly how I try and set them out. What I say to brands before we start, they'll normally give me an idea. Tailors of Harrogate said, we've got this really strong coffee. We want, to develop something around waking up. So I was like, the bed from Wallace and Gromit. Everybody knows that. I've been asked to do it many times by my subscribers. And, I'll be back online. So I said, let's make the bed from Wallace and Gromit that chucks you out in the morning. And they were like, yep, that's a good idea, Colin. So, where is it? Here we are. Look, now this is a good thing. It's a nice thumbnail. So higher voltage ejector bed. The coffee was called High Voltage, so I've managed to get the name into the title. And we've got a brilliant thumbnail of me getting fired out the bed. And the thumbnail is crucial, a bit like the previous speaker was saying, like when you're scrolling down your Facebook page and you see that moving image with no sound. You need, like, within the first 2 or 3 seconds of that moving image, you want something which really catches your eye. So me getting chucked out of bed, I think, does a pretty good job of that. And then basically, if we just click on it, I try and... Oh, we got an advert. We'll watch this, because, it's how I earn my money. No, we'll skip it. So skip the ad. So basically, this was quite funny. It starts off, I've got Tailors of Harrogate High Voltage Coffee Present. I always try and get the brand name in as soon as possible, just in case people don't watch the whole thing, which is unthinkable in a Colin Furze video. So now this is a really lo-fi way of doing it. And they kind of wanted me to send this, they wanted to send me, this like graphic of that they'd had done on, they had a graphics guy with like high voltage coffee coming in. I was like, no. My videos are all quite lo-fi. They all come from a shed, so you've got to keep them like that. So I had this idea of either doing it like that. I was kind of going to do it as like a missing cat notice, but it turned out to be a little bit complicated. And I said, right, let's just leave that. We've got your brand name in. That's all good. And then we'll get straight into the action. So after that, we... Do you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning? It seems a lot of people have asked me to solve this problem. Which they have. And then look, we're 15 seconds in, and pretty much it's all going to start kicking off. Bang! I'm chucked out of my bed. And that's another thing, is to get something really... At this point, I may add, I thought, I won't be completely naked in my bed because I always wear a shirt and tie. So I thought, I've got to keep the shirt and tie on. But I'll take my trousers off so it looks like I'm in bed. But after filming all day in my pants and thinking I'm running around on the internet in just my underwear, wish I had a pair of pajamas now, but they are. So get something to happen really fast, because people on the internet, they've got all these things down here, which if they're slightly more interesting, than what they're watching, they'll just click off it and disappear. So really, get something in there really quick, something to happen. So I've got me chucking myself out of bed. It's lovely. Oh, I've gone and pressed the wrong thing there. This is quite a short video. Here I am in my pants again, you see. Disappearing. There's a little bit of a brand thing coming up soon in terms of... That's not me, obviously. Now, this is, of course, the nod to Wallace and Gromit, because Wallace, when he gets chucked up, it gets him dressed. I thought, we've got to do that. There's a little bit... And then this is when you can get your funky branding in at the end, because I always think people on the internet... Let's turn this down. People tend to class the internet as more personal than television, and if you start waving big flashy logos at the beginning, I think people kind of get offended by that. So I always think if you do it at the end, they don't care because they've had their wicked piece of entertainment and they'll accept it at the end. It's, oh yeah, okay, fair enough, that was awesome. Now who paid for it, sort of thing. So you get away with it all here, and that's one of the things I always think is quite key to all this, is making sure that you don't cram too much stuff in, because what I say to them is we want somebody to finish watching the video, think it's brilliant and want to share it, but also know that you sponsored it, but with as little interference as possible. So not constantly, me getting out of bed going, oh, if I had my Taylors of Harrogate high voltage coffee, I would be, taking on the world. And they were really pleased with it. You can see it's got 5.6 million views nearly, and that was not been on very long. It got 5 million of those in the first 3 to 4 weeks. And they're so happy, I pretty much get one of these every 3 weeks. So, because I always ask a brand before I start, what are you expecting? Is there a particular view count that you want beforehand, just to know whether it's realistic or how much pressure I'm under? And they said, oh yeah, we want about 1 million views. And of course, they are jumping off the roof. But not only do they get a show video, if you look up here, there's the up next bit is how I made it. Now, the great thing with that is, this is kind of like your short 1 minute 56, really punchy, oh, that's amazing. And then if anyone wants to know a bit more of how I made it, they can go on that. It's a 4.5 minute video. I can be a bit more about the brand in that. There's a bit more mentioning of the coffee and stuff, and there's a few cheeky little plugs. Like at the end, I think it's in that very clip actually, I'm going, right, the bed is mechanically finished, now I've just got to make it look like a bed. It looks like I've got a long night ahead of me, I better have some coffee. And then I'm like, oh, shameless plug. And I disappear back in the shed. And they nearly wanted me to cut that out. They was like, oh, I'm not sure about that, Colin, is it quite right? And I was like, leave it in, it's funny. And there's a lot of comments in the YouTube video saying, oh, I love the bit at the end with your shameless plug. That was hilarious. So there we are. That's what I kind of think to try and do. Keep it punchy. Have all your real flash gizmos at the end of the video, or nearer the end, or sort of the middle, so it's not all at the beginning. Because people on YouTube don't like that. It's not like they don't want to like sponsored content, but I always think that they feel that it's their platform sort of thing and not an advertiser's platform. So just be a bit aware of that. A couple of other things as well, which I think's social media suicide, is to disable comments. There was a couple of brands that I've worked with, and they were, we want the comments disabling. I don't know whether they were scared of getting any bad media or anything in the comments, and that was just dive. Videos like that just dive. So if you can not do that, that'll be good. And also, when you're choosing somebody to promote, when you're choosing a partner, I think there's kind of responsibility on both halves to make sure that it's the right partnership. I've had a few offers from people that, Colin, we love what you're doing, we think it's really great, it's really crazy, so we've got this product we'd like you to test, and then we're going to take you off into a studio, we're going to film it all beautifully, you can have a director and everything. And I'm like, whoa, I make all my stuff in a shed. If all of a sudden I'm in a studio with all gills and, all bells and whistles, people are going to think, well, Colin hasn't made this video. And then it just screams advert, it stick out like a sore thumb, and all of a sudden people are like, well, what's he doing? So it's like, keep it how the YouTuber would keep it. So it's kind of like, go onto people's channels, look at what they do and think, would I be happy to do, what I want them to do, but in the way they do it? Because it will work a lot better rather than trying to change it. So, because lo-fi sometimes is pretty good. So, but there we go. That's pretty much what I've learned. I'm doing pretty well. I've done like 7 or 8 branded content videos. They all get really good reviews. I get comments all the time saying this is how you do sponsored content. So I must be doing something right. and people keep coming towards me to do all sorts of weird things. We've got toasting knives that toast as you cut through the bread. That would have been a pretty good one for a bread company to get involved. And then there's things like this mobility scooter. I've broken various world records and stuff, and I was like the first person to really do that, and it's been replicated so many times over, but that one always gets referenced. So it's kind of like, if someone was involved with that, it could have been the Jaffa cakes, if they've been mentioned so many times, the Jaffa cake mobility scooter, and it would have got so many other things other than just that video. But there we are. That's what I know. It's doing all right, and yeah.